What's going on, everyone? It's Loza here today, and we've got Andrew, who's won three locals now with Jesmon and Genkumon. Is that right?
Yeah, Jesmon and friends doing pretty well.
All right, take us through the profile.
So, look, pretty similar to a fair few Just Gank lists. That's the deck I would say is probably about 90 to 95% sold at the moment. So there's only going to be a few things nuanced here compared to some other lists, but we'll go through it. So Gurumon is the egg of choice for BT8. Like previously in my other build, I was on Koromon because I was a little bit more into the builds that did a lot more like little chips, and I wouldn't mind it, so I'd need the Koromon to draw. Whereas now it's kind of all in on this combo, so you really do the draw when attacking can be the difference of seeing a system on or not. So I'm happy to have kind of switched back to the Gurumon for this build. We've got two BT6 Huckmons for searching. Now this one, importantly enough, doesn't search you your Gunkus, so this is a bit of a contentious one. Like it does search top 5, it adds 2, which is awesome, but I'm actually strongly considering swapping these for two analog youths to act as 5th and 6th copies of From Master to Disciple, because I've noticed the games that I lose or the ones that I struggle with are ones where I can't get to the Gunku pieces. Um, and so I'm strongly considering dropping this to one, maybe swapping both of them out. But it's otherwise insane. In the pure Jesmon build, this card is absolutely insane. But yes, once Gunku's as part of the conversation, it becomes a little risky. Um, at the moment, I am running with the BT20 Huck. So again, because we've got Genku in situation, we really want to be able to ditch Genku X for free, draw cards, and cycle through the deck. And the DP inheritable on this and the level 4 are now it's coming up quite a lot because we're going into a format where there's a lot of Crimson Blaze. So that's a very critical breakpoint for a lot of your Digimon. And having this inheritable is actually a big part of that. So normally I'm a little bit like, oh, whatever, you're going to Alliance for a million DP anyway. But there are certain interactions which are coming up very, very consistently that 1000 DP makes a big difference. So card's good. Draws cards, gains memory, and gives DP. It's a good card. However, you could argue still running the BT13 one because this one you do move up, you cycle a card, and you gain memory. The BT13 one, the main advantage of that one is that you have the memory gain kind of locked away for later when you summon a sister. And so you can evolve for a 4 in the back without feeling bad. Whereas this one, it's a bit of an odd one where you kind of feel bad if you go into a 4 early because you miss out on the ditch one, draw one, and gain a memory. But you're saving memory by evolving already. So it's a bit of an interesting Huckmon, this one. Uh, Less interesting, I guess, in a way, because it's just ridiculously good in every situation, is the BT23 one. So add a Royal Knight and then add something else from the line, either Sisters or Huckmons, and an inheritable gain of memory whenever something is white's played. So like this card's just ridiculous. It makes warping from your Jesmon going to be 4 memory. Yeah, look, you'd run 10 of this one if you could.
Yeah, he's kind of
Uh,
cracked.
yeah. So the biggest change I've made, of course, like compared to my previous build, again, because we're running the hybrid build now, um, I think this Blunk is still pretty terrible in normal Jesmon builds or the gas builds, but some people still run it, and again, each to their own. However, this one is critical for the combo with Jesmon and Gunkumon. So if you're unfamiliar with that combo, typically what happens is you'll move up this level 4, you'll use its effect to summon Gunku for cheaper. Gunku's effect will then evolve you into um, this Savior Huck for 0. End of turn, this will suspend the Gunku, go into Jesmon for free. Now, critically, the part is Jesmon will now summon this Blunk for free. Swing, suspend the Blunk for Alliance, which then lets you Evo into this Gunku X on top of the Gunku. So it's a critical part in that combo. And for that reason alone, you just have to see at least one of these. So 3 is good. And look, the on play is a little bit of a joke in the sense of like you add your security then recover, so you're not really recovering, but you can in certain situations. But at the end of the day, it basically says draw one, so that's okay. If it wasn't for the combo, I'd much rather just have the decoy and the ditch one and draw 2-1. But again, it's just critical in this one, and you don't need many more blunks than that. So, card's very very good in the combo. Um, Now for our fours, like again, because it's combo centric, really the main thing you're looking for is doing the combo off of the BT20 Bar Huck. You've got one copy of BT13 here as a little bit of a backup. I'm considering putting this up to 2 as well, just to increase the consistency of seeing 4s, because this still does pretty well in the combo. You can still combo off to an extent. So yeah, I think I might put this one this 1 to 2, we'll see. So what I do a little bit different to some of the other lists. So I'm certainly on 2 Awakened. I've seen a fair few lists cut this down to 1, and I think that's a terrible mistake for so many reasons. One is it's a separate name to CL, so it doesn't conflict with the Jesmon condition of not summoning something with the same name. Second is it's just free card draw when it's in the bin and it goes on top of a CL and then stuns something, you draw one for Evo. It recovers itself for free. Like, it's an extremely good card, and this is one of the main reasons I've been doing really well at the moment, because whether you're versing hybrids and stunning tamers or whether you're versing big stack decks, either way, for an aggressive deck, this gives you some stun tools that allows for a lot of recovery and a lot of draw power. So I think this card's insane. Like, there's a world where you could even run 3 of it, but I think 2 is correct. Then we get on to, this is where a lot of the builds kind of have a different ethos as to which way they want to go. So I've gone with one of the BT6 for the extra DP and a memory. I like it at 1 because it's quite situational whether I need it or not. I definitely don't need it every single game. I'm not always trying to keep turn. Like, it doesn't always, not always a requirement to keep turn. Sometimes I just want to pass them on 1 and swing for a whole heap of checks. But it is good to be able to manipulate the memory when need be, and also the extra DP can help, but it doesn't always, so 1's fine. Similarly, we've got the 1 structure deck CL. So the reason I went back to one of these for a few reasons. So 1, if I don't see the Gunku line, the Jesmon, after I go for the kind of the 2-3 check combo, can be really quite vulnerable. And one way you can help mitigate that a little bit is by having this CL to give it reboot, so that at least it can't, they need to raid into it. They can't just swing into it. So it allows for that, and it also just lets you just, search top 3. It's basically, it might as well be playing for Master Disciple with its effect. So you could go Jesmon, and let's just say you have no other sisters. If you just happen to have this one, it's a great one to bring down first, because you might search, say, a Gunku, and you mill 1 or 2 sisters, and then suddenly you've got extra names that you can do for the when attacking. So I think it's certainly got a place as a one-of. It's also another cool interaction with all 3 of these CLs is they all have really good effects that come back once CL Awaken has gone into your security. So you could go, for example, part of your combo, like if you haven't hit the end of turn trigger yet, this one will search and then evolve this from trash over it for 0, draw a card, stun something, blah blah blah, check, and then when you pass turn, this will recover itself back into security, and then now you've got this one which is passively giving all your dudes reboot, or all the Royal Knights and Hux reboot, so you've got that back online. So that was a really cool interaction. So I think I'm very happy with these as a 1-on-1 ratio. It's just weirdly, I think, correct. Even though, yes, you don't see either as much as you would if you ran 2 of. They're just both tools that you can utilize to navigate a turn as best as possible. Next, we've got our 2 BT23 ECLs. I did originally really like 3 of this. The more I play it, the more I still think it's incredible, but it is a fragile card, and seeing extra copies of it doesn't always help that much. But you definitely want to see it. So 2's perfectly fine. Digivolve as a blocker is still amazing. They came up a lot today, actually, against Purple Hybrid, Digivolving the Velgramon so that it was down to a Dustmon, so when it checked at the end of attack, it didn't have the end of attack effect anymore. So yeah, incredibly strong card. And similar with the CL Awaken, so same thing. So get a stun off, and then it goes back into security, so next turn you've got the blocker ready with Digivolve. Now Savior Huck, again, this is all to do with doing Jess Gunku combos, so you no longer run any of the other Savior Hucks in this build. Again, in the pure Jesmon build, I really like some of the BT13 Savior Hucks, but they just don't fit in with this build. You really need to combo off, and this Savior Huck is obviously your combo unit. Now, it actually came up quite a few times tonight. There is a lot of times where I did end up just hard playing this in a tough situation. I was on, say, 3 memory, put them to 4, pop one of their little dudes, suspend one of my other things, evolve into Jesmon for free. Jesmon has Rush, so you summon a token, swing, summon a sister, whatever you want to do. The fact that this has Rush and combos off with this Savior Huck just made this Savior Huck, ridiculously better than it was. So, very good card. It's one of your very few forms of removal in this deck. So it pops something, this CL pops something. That's about it. So yeah, you do have to use that strategically. Newest Jesmon, look, I'm sure everyone's well across this one by now. It has everything. Rush, Alliance, you can warp over sorry, little Huckmons, and you summon things every when you evolve and when you swing. It's got everything. The token has pretty much just about every important keyword. Yeah, I won't talk any more about that other than it's a ridiculous card.
It does have to
Then
summon different names, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's summon a token or sister, except for you can't summon one with a name you already control. So
And
with this
two of
one,
the
I'm not.
CLs, they count as Nor, is that right?
So Nor is just they always count as Nor. They're
Oh, okay.
that's just the Japanese name versus the English one. So when they've censored Noir, I think officially like Noir is the whole none with guns look. So not only do they censor the look of Noir, they change the name as long with it, but it's the same thing.
Okay, so the
So
BT6 one doesn't count as a different name, say, to the starter deck one or the BT23 one?
correct, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So the BT23 is the one that says it's also treated as that. So I believe that's just in case we have international competitions, for example, where Japanese players, for example, might have Noir and we've got CL, or they've got both, or they have one later that name. It's just to
gotcha.
clear up that that's the same card. So that'd be pretty cool. But no, we've only got the three names here.
Okay.
I might still consider putting one copy of Blank Awakened back in. The reason for that, more than anything, I found myself sometimes really looking for the ability to add a piece back to hand. It's the on deletion of Blank Awakened.
Yep.
So there was plenty of times, especially because I've only got the four Jesmon, and there are just times where you just you've gone through two and then one's in security and one gets milled, and so I'm strongly considering going back to having one Blank Awakened. I'm
Oh,
not sure
yeah.
what I'll drop for that, but I'll strongly consider that. And that also then gives the fourth name as well too. So, have a little bit of flexibility around the names.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll see how we go. Gunku and Gunku X Antibody. Look, if anyone's played Gunku Turtle before in the last few formats where it's been very strong, I came eighth place at the Brisbane Regional, like a month ago, playing it. I felt pretty dirty playing it because it's a very dirty deck. This is the cleaner version where you do have an immunity blocker, but you don't run, a smorgasbord of floodgates. So when this one evolves onto a Gunku, makes all your dudes, all your Digimon, no matter what they are, immune to Digimon effects till the end of the next turn. And then if they're part of the archetype, so everything in this deck falls under this, they get blocker reboot for the turn, which is obviously insane. So this is your win con a lot of the time. There are times where I put my opponent to 7 or 8 memory just playing the Gunkumon because it does reduce its cost if you have something else from the archetype on the field. Um, you can combo it off for 6 with this Bauhuck. That's obviously the mega combo, but even just playing it for 8 when you've got 2 or 3 things on board already, make it like Evo into this for free from either bin or hand, and just say, okay, look, you've got 7 memory, but can you deal with 5 blockers who are all immune to Digimon effects, even with that? And the answer to that is often no. It's, you can draw and make bigger things, but at the end of the day, it's hard to beat the board. And if you do somehow make something that's bigger than Jesmon or Gunku, and you try and raid into things or something, you can always just block with one of your smaller things to save the stacks, right? Um, so it has a lot of options, and the main reason you run this build at all, because it is a little bit slower than the gas build, is that against decks like Hootie, you need answers. If you're not killing them in one turn, you're going to just lose on the clapback. Whereas in this combo, you can still go for aggressive if you do the combo right, you usually put them to 5 or 6 memory, but you'll check 3 checks with Jesmon, and then in your opponent's standby unsuspend phase, you're going to unsuspend himself, the Gunku, and 2 sisters and a token generally. They're all going to have reboot blocker and all be immune to Digimon effects. So again, that's often a very tough wall for Hootie or probably a lot of other decks to get through. And usually you just win on the turn after that. What I love, and we'll get to it I might as well get to it now, is that you've got obviously Jesmon GX Ace as a threat, and this is good for so many reasons. One is that now that you're often sitting on a Gunku X that has made everything immune to Digimon effects, you can much more comfortably ace over one of your sixes, knowing that it's not going to be removed, de-digivolved, or anything by a Digimon effect. Now, depending on the matchup, of course, you got to be careful with options, but most of the time you can very safely do this. Um, The other thing that's really amazing about this is its DNA condition. It doesn't care about colors, but it must be a Jesmon in name and must be a Gunku in name. And that actually comes up from time to time to get lethal in certain tough spots. So there's situations where sometimes your sixes are on the board and you have to clear out some of what your opponent has on the board before you can get through. And so sometimes you can do that with your sixes, and then after you have gotten past a certain point, you can just, put them together into a stack and actually just DNA into GXAs. And then, pop something, add some stuff, trash their top two security, swing twice, go for game. So very, very strong. And we've got the one copy of BT10GX. This is a contentious one. In the Ganku Turbo build, where you ran 4 and 4 of the Gankus and you wanted to repeat that effect a lot, this was a lot better. Now, this copies a Royal Knight effect that a 13 cost or lower, you slide under it and you copy that effect. So in an ideal world, you've got a Ganku stack, like with Ganku and Ganku X antibody on top. You evolve this, you slide another Ganku X under, and you make your whole board immune again for another turn. DD evolve something by 2, and then you can blitz and swing. That's kind of cool in theory. It worked a lot better in Ganku Turtle. In this one, like copying Jesmon effect is not that good. And copying Gunku X is good, obviously, but with one less each to make room for the combo, it's a lot less reliable to have this stack and have another one of these available somewhere and have this in hand. So I don't love this as much. When it's good, it's great, but it's often just dead. And I think this is one of those cards where it's certainly one I would consider dropping. I think the ace just does a lot more for this build. But at 1, it's okay. I'm going to keep playing with it for now. I'll keep testing it. But certainly if I want to try other things, this is something that most certainly is in danger of not making the cut anymore. Moving on from there, we've got Garnet Memory Boost. This was a staple 4 of in Genki Turtle. In this build, it's as fine as a 2 of. I might, that's another possibility. I might move that to 3 or 4 to drop the Huckmon, BT6 Huckmon down, because this being able to grab black or red is obviously ideal in that sense, where if whatever I'm missing from the line, except for the sisters, I can add any of the other Digimon. So being able to add the Gunku that I'm missing is very, very good. Best card to open by far is still your Master Disciple from the structure deck. Best thing that came out of the structure deck by a country mile. So similar to Analog Youth, look at the top 3, mill everything to bin, but you get to add something, any card with Systemon or Royal Knight in its trait, or Huckmon, Systemon, or Royal Knight in its trait or name, I think it is. Huckmon System on a name or Royal Knight in trait. So interestingly enough, you can add System on Training Gym, as I mentioned in a previous video. Sometimes that's the correct take, sometimes not. But later on, it reduces the Digivolution. So this is just, this plus a Huckmon, so this plus maybe BT20 Huckmon in raising is probably your kind of best 2-card opener, I'd say. Because your Genku X's and all your Systemons are cards you are more than happy to have in the trash. And yeah, so ideally you might see like Gunku X and a sister, and you can just add Gunku, and then you've got both of these resources in the trash. So pretty much, in a way, it's almost like saying draw 3, because you've got access to those resources. They might as well be in your hand in some respects. And lastly, System on Training. Now, I was super excited when this card came out, and I still think it's very, very strong. It's the more I play it, the more I don't feel like it's I certainly don't feel like it's a staple 4 of like I originally did. The draw 1 is a little bit slow often. The security effect is incredible, and the delay effect is very strong. Like again, I think I would put this back up to 4 in a turbo gas build. But Gunku control, like the Gunku Jess build, it's certainly not as critical. You get a lot of control from the Gunku side of things. It's awesome when there's hidden security. In fact, this won me locals tonight by this being the last security check. It just summoned Ciel Awakened and stunned the Purple Hybrid players, Ben's last tamer that was live.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was some heart of the cards type shit right there. And I hadn't had one of these in security all night, so I was like, it was like the ultimate time and place for it to happen. So yeah, I think 3 is fine. I could even maybe consider dropping this down to 2. It is very, very good. It's just like it's. I've learned that it's still miles away from Master Disciple. It's strong,
Yeah.
but like anything, consistency is key, right? But one of the cool
Yeah.
interactions, I suppose, is if this gets hit in security early, but you have access to this seal, like this is one of the best ways you can combo that off, right? Like put this in the battle area, summon this one. This will still look at the top three, and you add the best card you can and trash the rest.
Oh yeah.
Um, Also, if you're at zero memory, and if you do that, you can summon this seal and gain a memory and force the turn pass.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Or
Turn pass, yeah.
yeah, or this one stuns, or this one deletes something. So it's super versatile, but three is fine. But if I had to make room for two more things, for example, I'd consider cutting maybe one of these and GX.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to fiddle around with a few different things because I don't know, man. This Huckmon is so good, but no inheritable means it feels terrible when it's your only rookie to put in the back. Like I might consider going back to BT13. I might drop these two for two more copies of Garnet. I might drop them for Analog Youth, as I said, because if you have two Analog Youth, it's basically like having 6 copies of Master to Disciple.
Yeah.
Um, so one rookie, because these are infinitely better to see at the start. Like it is pretty cool sometimes if you see one of each of these, and then again you look at the top 5, add two things. It feels so bad when you look at, like, let's just say if that reveals two Gunku X's, like there's such a strong chance that you're losing that matchup unless it's a very, if that's another highly competitive deck, you've probably lost just from doing like bottom decking
Yeah, two Genku
uh
X.
two Gunku X. It's incredibly tough. Whereas the things at mill 3 and add 1, like it's just so much value. It's ridiculous value
Yeah, this
in terms
card
of
was
speeding up your
good when it
process.
came out, and it's like just gotten better for the deck as time's going on.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, look, I'd run 8 of that if I could.
Yeah.
Certainly, 100%. Like it's 100% up there. So I think, yeah, look, moving forward, I'd maybe cut GX for maybe a third Garnet.
Yep.
Um, that's kind of how I'm thinking. It's just the amount of games I just never go into this. Like it's just sitting in hand and does nothing because it's just never a good opportune. Again, I love this. I had this at 2 in Goku Total, and it was like incredible.
Oh
But
yeah.
again, it looks like a similar deck, but it's completely different.
Can confirm you've used this card a fair bit in your time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I loved GX Turbo in BT11. That got me my first Nats top. Well, my first and only so far. So hopefully we can run it back with Jesmon this time around, right? That'd be cool.
Yeah, this
Um,
deck seems really solid. I feel like you've got 99% of this figured out, and you've only got a teeny bit to kind of perfect. It's very
yeah,
scary, and I don't know how a lot of decks get through it, to be honest. It's just puts up a wall that says, you're dying next turn and you can't touch my board.
it does mix that interesting part of like aggression and then control. Which I think is really cool. I think there's a lot of interesting thought patterns to it. Like, yes, there's a relatively straightforward um, game plan, but there's a lot of sequencing that makes a difference, and there's a lot of things where you go, okay, like, am I better off? Like, again, do I want to put them to 6 or 7 and just make the immune board, or do I want to put them to two security, and I'll go with just one combo and leave them at 1 memory, but my whole board is like vulnerable if they have a large clapback. Uh, and I think there's some interesting decision making that makes it quite good. But it does some very powerful stuff, like the ability to, even from a fresh board, be able to go like, or yeah, like, sorry, the recovery options with just this savior Huckmon is just incredibly strong.
Yeah, I saw
So
you
yeah, I'm
tonight
not surprised it's a
promote
top
a
deck.
Huckmon, go straight to Jez. Like, even that's just crazy.
Absolutely, that actually happened. I'd gone plenty of locals without ever warping. I think I
Yeah.
warped. I think I warped every game. Sorry, every match I at least warped in one game.
Damn, that's crazy.
So yeah, it came up a lot. It came up quite a bit tonight. It's such a big recovery thing. Again, you exactly like you said. It was the ball was wiped, but I had a Hugmon in the back, move it up, warp, summon a sister. Like half the time, it was like if it's in the late game, like I'll move up, warp, summon. For example, I might summon this sister, pop something, trigger this from trash, evolve over it, stun something, swing, summon. I could summon another one of this sister because now it's awakened and not CL,
Yeah.
and suspend it, de-digivolve something, or like any number of combo of things, right? Um, and it's incredible. But I'd say like tonight, I think CL Awakened was probably the MVP.
Yeah, she was
Um,
putting in work.
yeah, just being able to put out the aggression and then and then check your opponent's aggression all in the one go is like super strong. And then also just giving you a little bit of a buffer. Sometimes the ability for it to recover into security, like, so it's great because it gives you a buffer. But if you're doing too well, then you actually lock yourself out of your own CL Awakens because they're like
Oh yeah, they're stuck in there.
possibly they're kind of stuck in there. Yeah, you kind of let checks go through sometimes. But yeah, look, I think this is an incredibly good deck. Like, I have a lot of fun. Like, everyone knows I've loved Jesmon for a long time, so it's nice to finally play it and not, and not be fighting a super uphill battle in terms of like, playing it for the fun or memes or anything like that. Like, it's genuinely a good choice. I think it might actually be the best deck out at the moment. The stats are saying it's kind of between it and Hootie, but it's a matter of, is Hootie objectively better? Maybe. I think there's a shitload of people playing Hootie, so it's always an interesting matchup of kind of like results versus representation.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the stats to that, so maybe maybe not. But if it's not the best deck, I think it's maybe the second or third.
I think it's
Um,
up there. It's pretty damn strong.
yeah, and obviously the other build is the Omni Gas build, but I just think this is better. I think this just deals with more decks, and I think it's weirdly enough it's also piece reliant, so I'd say it's about the same consistency, but
Yeah.
um, I just think it's better. I just like it. I think it's better, and I think more results are coming off of this build. The other build can definitely do well, but I think we're seeing more results from this build for that reason. But that's my thoughts. That's what I might change. That's my thoughts on at the moment. We've got a long road. I think we've got Nats in. I think it's like pretty much almost exactly 2 months from now.
Okay, sweet. So you'll be playing up until
We're
then,
gonna,
same deck?
yeah, we're gonna grind it hard. I'll play a few memes at locals from time to time, but for the most
Yeah.
part, we're just gonna be trying to get this to as perfect as possible, and hopefully we can bring back some W. I know I'll check back on this video in 2 months and see how we
Yeah.
did.
See how much you've changed
Yeah,
and all that fun
easy.
stuff. All right, awesome. Well, thanks for the profile. It's going super
Our pleasure.
solid, and all the best for
No
the
worries.
future ones.
Easy. Thank you very much. And remember, just one best deck.
Cheers, my best deck.